The Citadel had stood for thousands of years as a monument to galactic unity, its 5 rotating arms housing millions of souls from dozens of species. The Presidium Ring gleamed with artificial waterfalls and perfectly maintained gardens, a testament to careful order and diplomatic precision. On any given day, ambassadors debated trade agreements while CSEC officers monitored crowds for the slightest hint of disruption. It was a place where chaos was managed, contained, controlled. That control shattered at 13:47 hours station time, when reality itself tore open above the consort's chambers. The rift appeared first as a shimmer in the air. Tourists thought it was a holographic display malfunction. Then light erupted outward in colors that shouldn't exist, wavelengths that made Asari philosophers weep and Turian sensors scream warnings. The dimensional breach expanded with a sound like thunder, wrapped in breaking glass, and through it tumbled 2 figures trailing arcs of impossible energy. They hit the ground with enough force to crack the Presidium's reinforced plating. Emergency klaxons wailed, pedestrians scattered. CSEC units converged with weapons drawn, shouting orders in a dozen languages that went unheeded. Because the 2 women rising from the crater weren't listening. They were taking stock. Kara Zor-El pushed herself up, her red cape settling around armored shoulders as her eyes swept the environment with superhuman precision. Different. Everything was different. The sun overhead, artificial, she realized, felt wrong against her skin. Weaker. The architecture was alien but clearly advanced. And the crowd backing away from her displayed a bewildering array of species she'd never encountered. Blue-skinned humanoids with scalp crests, reptilian beings with mandibles, floating jellyfish creatures. "Diana," Kara said quietly, her voice carrying preternatural calm despite the adrenaline flooding her system. "We're not in Kansas anymore." Wonder Woman was already on her feet, the lasso of truth coiled at her hip and her hand resting on the hilt of her sword. Her ancient warrior's instincts cataloged threats automatically. Armed security forces establishing perimeter, civilians fleeing, but some recording with devices. No immediate magical signatures, but technology so advanced it might as well be. The architecture reminded her of Themyscira's fusion of beauty and purpose, but scaled to house millions. "Agreed," Diana replied, her accent carrying the weight of centuries. "I sense no gods here, Kara. No Olympians, no new gods. We're far from home. Hands where we can see them." The command came from a CSEC officer, Turian, his subvocals translating through the armor's systems. His rifle was trained on SuperGirl with the steady grip of military experience. 24 officers flanked him, creating a semicircle of mass accelerator fire potential. "You are in violation of Citadel station security protocols. Surrender immediately, or we will open fire." Kara raised her hand slowly, noting how the simple gesture made several officers flinch. They were terrified. She could hear it in their elevated heartbeats, smell it in the chemical changes in their bodies. Whatever this place was, her arrival had been violent enough to trigger every alarm they had. "We mean no harm," she said clearly. "There was an accident. We're not from..." "How did you explain being from another dimension?" "Around here." The Turian's mandibles twitched. "You created an unauthorized mass effect field strong enough to damage Presidium infrastructure. You're either terrorists or the most reckless biotics I've ever encountered." His finger tightened on the trigger. "Last warning." Diana stepped forward and the movement was so fluid, so perfectly controlled, that half the CSEC officers tracked her with weapons, while the other half remained locked on Kara. The Amazon princess projected calm authority, the diplomatic bearing she'd perfected in man's world, but her body language screamed warrior to anyone with eyes to see. "We are strangers seeking understanding," Diana said, her voice carrying across the Presidium with perfect clarity. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. I am Diana of Themyscira. My companion is Kara of Krypton. We come in peace, but we are not helpless. A human officer, Alliance Navy markings on her armor, spoke into her comm. Commander, we've got 2 unknowns claiming to be human, but bioscan readings are wrong. One's registering solar radiation absorption off the charts. The other's equipment is reading as pre-industrial metallurgy, but somehow denser than starship hulls. Recommend Spectre intervention. Kara's super hearing caught the response. Spectres are already en route. Contain but do not engage unless they demonstrate hostile intent, and get Ambassador Udina on the line. If these are humans, this becomes a diplomatic incident. The standoff held for 37 seconds. Kara counted each one, her enhanced senses tracking everything. The maintenance bots freezing mid-repair, the news drones hovering at maximum zoom, the Council's security forces taking up positions on the upper levels. She could hear heartbeats, conversations, the hum of technology she didn't understand. Then something changed. Kara's head snapped towards the upper observation deck, her eyes narrowing. There, a figure watching with binoculars, but the heartbeat was wrong. Too slow, too controlled, not organic, and the binoculars themselves were emitting a scanning frequency that made her skin prickle. "Diana," she murmured, "we're being analyzed. Upper left, observation deck 3. Wonder Woman's gaze flicked upward for a fraction of a second. Her warrior's instinct confirmed the threat assessment, but she kept her focus on the C-Sec perimeter. "One problem at a time, sister. These officers are frightened but professional. If we're to find our way home, we need allies, not enemies." The Turian commander's comm crackled again. This time, the voice carried absolute authority. "Stand down, Commander. I'll take it from here." The C-Sec perimeter parted, and through it walked a human woman in blue and white armor that gleamed with kinetic barrier emitters. Her face was calm, professional, but her eyes held the hardness of someone who'd seen combat and survived. Behind her came a Turian whose armor bore Spectre insignia, one of the Council's legendary agents, Kara realized from the deference the other officers showed. "I'm Commander Shepard, Alliance Navy," the woman said, stopping 10 meters from the crater. "You've caused quite an entrance. The Council wants to speak with you, but first, I need to know, are you a threat to this station?" Kara met Shepard's eyes and in that moment recognized something familiar. Another soldier, another protector carrying weight she couldn't share. The Kryptonian lowered her hands slowly, deliberately, non-threatening. "Only if someone makes us one," Kara replied honestly. "We're looking for a way home, nothing more." Diana added, "We are warriors, Commander Shepard, but we stand for peace. If your council seeks dialogue, we will listen, but we will not be imprisoned or experimented upon. This, I promise you." The lasso of truth glowed faintly at her hip, and every organic being watching felt the weight of absolute sincerity in her words. Even the Turian Spectre's mandibles flared in surprise. Shepard studied them both, then nodded once. "Fair enough. Welcome to the Citadel. Let's hope this doesn't start a war. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The C-Sec detention area was designed to hold biotics who could rip through metal with their minds. It featured kinetic barriers capable of stopping a charging Krogan and walls reinforced with mass effect fields. Commander Bailey, the human C-Sec coordinator, watched through reinforced glass as his best containment cell held 2 women who looked like they'd walked off an ancient Earth mythology holovid. "Tell me again why we're not using suppression fields," Bailey said to Shepard. Because they're not biotics, Shepard replied, arms crossed as she studied the two prisoners, though guests might be more accurate given they'd come willingly. My Omni tool can't even classify what they are. Garrus ran every scan we have. The blonde one's cells are absorbing and converting EM radiation at impossible rates. The other one's equipment predates spaceflight, but tests stronger than starship hulls. Inside the cell, Kara sat on the bench with her cape pooled around her, listening to everything within a 500-meter radius. The station hummed with life, millions of voices, thousands of systems, endless data flowing through networks she could hear but not understand. She focused on filtering it down, building a mental map of this place they'd landed in. Diana stood at the barrier, studying the energy field with the analytical eye of a warrior. She'd faced magical barriers, technological force fields, and divine prisons. This fell somewhere in between. Matter manipulation on a quantum level, if she understood the fragments of conversation she'd overheard. Impressive, but not insurmountable. "Your thoughts, Kara?" Diana asked without turning. "We're in a space station the size of a small country," Kara replied quietly. "I count at least 6 distinct species within hearing range, maybe more. They're using mass effect fields for everything. Propulsion, barriers, weapons. It's elegant, actually. Manipulating the mass of objects by creating dark energy fields. Can you break us out?" "In about 3 seconds. But Shepard seems reasonable. Let's see what this council wants before we make enemies." The door hissed open and 3 figures entered the observation room. Bailey straightened immediately. Spectres. The Turian from earlier, Saren Arterius, according to the whispers Kara had heard, was flanked by 2 others, a Solarian with calculating eyes and an Asari whose biotic corona flickered with barely restrained power. "Commander Shepard," Saren's subvocals carried disapproval. "You should have neutralized the targets immediately. Unknown entities appearing on the Citadel through unauthorized means represent a clear threat." Shepard didn't flinch. With respect, Spectre Arterius, they surrendered peacefully, and my scans suggest neutralizing them would have required leveling half the Presidium. The Solarian spoke rapidly, his words tumbling over each other. "Preliminary analysis confirms non-standard biology. The younger one metabolizes stellar radiation. Cellular density suggests resistance to kinetic impacts approaching small arms fire, possibly higher. The older one's equipment defies metallurgical explanation. Pre-spaceflight forging techniques producing post-singularity results. Fascinating, terrifying, both. Which is why the Council is convening an emergency session," the Asari Spectre said, her tone measured. "In the meantime, we test their claims." Saren's mandibles curved into what might have been a smile. "Indeed. Let's see how invulnerable they really are." He activated his Omni tool and the cell's internal defense systems armed. Automated turrets descended from the ceiling, each loaded with shredder rounds designed to penetrate kinetic barriers. Inside the cell, Kara's head snapped up. Diana's hand went to her sword. "Wait," Shepard started. The turrets opened fire. Kara moved. One moment she was sitting on the bench. The next she was standing in front of Diana as a dozen rounds impacted her body. The bullets flattened against her suit, her skin, her very being, then clattered harmlessly to the floor. Not a scratch, not even a bruise. The observation room went silent. "Keela," Bailey whispered. Diana stepped around Kara, her bracelets raised. The second volley of fire came and she moved, impossible grace, impossible speed, deflecting rounds with her bracers in movements too fast for unaugmented eyes to follow. Bullets ricocheted around the cell in perfect trajectories, embedding themselves in walls, ceiling, floor. Not a single round touched her. The turrets clicked empty. Kara lowered her hands. Diana relaxed her stance. "Are you finished?" Kara asked, her voice carrying through the cell's speakers. Her eyes, blue, bright, and now distinctly glowing, fixed on Saren's position behind the glass. "Because if you want to test us, I'm happy to demonstrate what I can really do, but you won't like the repair bill." Shepard rounded on Saren. "What the hell was that?" "We don't torture prisoners." "They're not prisoners, Commander. They're unknown variables." Saren's voice was cold. "The Council needs to understand the threat level. Now we do. Nothing short of capital ship weapons would harm them." "Actually," the Solarian Spectre said, his Omni tool flickering with data, "capital ship weapons might not suffice either. Kinetic barrier technology operates on different principles than their inherent resistance. The younger one's cellular structure adapted to absorb the kinetic energy. The older one's deflection demonstrates combat precognition or enhanced neural processing. Possibly both." Diana's voice cut through the debate. "You test warriors by attacking them in their sleep. Where I come from, such cowardice would earn a swift death." Her eyes blazed with controlled fury. "We came to you in peace. We surrendered weapons we did not need to. And you answer with treachery. Stand down, Diana." Kara's voice was quiet but firm. "They're scared. Look at them. Every heartbeat elevated, every muscle tensed. We crashed into their world from nowhere with enough force to damage their station. They don't know if we're refugees or invaders." She stepped closer to the barrier, addressing Shepard directly. "On my world, I'm called SuperGirl. I'm from a planet called Krypton. Or I was, before it died. My powers come from absorbing solar radiation. I'm strong enough to move mountains, fast enough to catch bullets, and I can hear a pin drop on the other side of this station. But I use these gifts to protect people, not hurt them." Diana joined her. "I am Princess Diana of Themyscira, ambassador of my people and champion of the Olympian gods. I have walked your Earth, a different Earth than this, I now understand, for a century. I have fought in wars and brokered peace. I am an Amazon, and we live by a code. Defend those who cannot defend themselves, speak truth even when it burns, and offer mercy before the sword." The lasso at her hip pulsed with golden light. Every person in the observation room felt the truth of her words settle into their bones like gravity. Shepard turned to Saren. "They're not enemies. File your report to the Council however you want, but I'm recommending first contact protocols, not detention." Saren's eyes narrowed. "Your recommendation is noted, Commander. The Council will make the final determination." He turned to leave, but paused at the door. "For your sake, Supergirl, I hope you're telling the truth, because if you're not, if this is some elaborate deception, I will find out, and then nothing will save you." After the Spectres left, Shepard approached the barrier. "I'm sorry about that. Saren's intense, but he's not entirely wrong to be cautious. The last time something unknown showed up in Citadel space, it started a war." "The Geth?" Kara asked. She'd been listening to fragments of conversation, piecing together context. "I've heard your officers mention them. Among others." Shepard studied them both. "The Council's going to want answers. Where you're from, how you got here, what you want. And they're going to want proof you're not a threat." Diana smiled, and it was the smile of a diplomat who'd negotiated with gods and monsters. "Then we shall speak with your council. We have nothing to hide, Commander Shepard. Though I suspect they will find our story difficult to believe." "Try me," Shepard said. "I've seen a lot of unbelievable things." Kara and Diana exchanged glances. Then Kara began. "It started with something called a boom tube and a mother box. We were chasing a threat through dimensional barriers when something went wrong. There was an explosion of light, and then we were falling through colors that don't exist, and then we were here." "Boom tube? Mother box?" Bailey interjected. "What kind of tech is that?" Not tech, Diana corrected. Divine machinery, created by beings called the New Gods, who exist in a dimension adjacent to ours, or adjacent to our previous reality. She frowned, the weight of their situation finally settling in. We may be further from home than I initially thought. The cell's holographic display flickered to life. An Asari appeared, tall, regal, with the bearing of someone accustomed to absolute authority. Commander Shepard, escort the prisoners to council chambers. The counselors will see them now. Shepard nodded. Understood, Counselor Tivos. She looked at Kara and Diana. The barrier's coming down. I need your word you won't cause any trouble. You have it, Diana said immediately. On my honor as an Amazon. Kara simply nodded. We're heroes where we come from, Commander. That doesn't change just because we're lost. The barrier shimmered and vanished. For the first time since arriving in this strange new universe, SuperGirl and Wonder Woman stepped forward as free agents. They just hoped the galaxy was ready for them. The council chambers occupied the highest point of the Presidium, a circular room with a holographic star map rotating at its center and 3 elevated platforms where the galaxy's most powerful leaders held court. Asari Counselor Tivos, Turian Counselor Sparatus, and Solarian Counselor Valern looked down at the 2 women standing in the petitioner's circle with expressions ranging from curiosity to concern to clinical analysis. Commander Shepard stood to the side with Garrus Vicarian, her Turian companion, both at parade rest but ready to intervene if things went sideways. The gallery above held dozens of spectators, ambassadors, specters, military liaisons, and more than a few journalists whose recording drones hovered like digital vultures. Kara swept her gaze across the room, her enhanced vision cataloging every exit, every potential threat, every face watching them with fear or fascination. Diana stood beside her, regal and composed, as comfortable in a throne room as on a battlefield. State your names and purpose, Counselor Sparatus demanded, his Turian vocal harmonics carrying military authority. You have violated Citadel security, caused significant property damage, and demonstrated capabilities that could threaten galactic stability. Explain yourselves. Diana stepped forward. I am Diana of Themyscira, daughter of Hippolyta, princess of the Amazons and champion of Olympus. This is Kara Zor-El of Krypton, last daughter of the House of El. We are not invaders. We are refugees, displaced by forces beyond our control and seeking only to understand where we are and how to return home. Counselor Valern's fingers danced across his Omni tool, data streaming past his eyes faster than most species could process. Themyscira, no records. Krypton, no records. Olympus, ancient Earth mythology, predates spaceflight by millennia. House of El, no genetic markers match Alliance databases. Conclusion, either elaborate deception or genuine extra-dimensional entities. Former more probable, latter more concerning. You claim to be human, Tivos said, her melodic voice carrying centuries of diplomatic experience. Yet your biology defies classification. Kara Zor-El, our scans indicate you metabolize stellar radiation with 97.3% efficiency. That's impossible. Diana of Themyscira, your equipment tests as Bronze Age metallurgy, yet demonstrates durability exceeding modern alloys. Explain these contradictions. Kara took a breath. How did you explain Krypton's red sun versus Earth's yellow sun? How did you describe powers that seemed magical to people who viewed everything through the lens of mass effect physics? Where I come from, Kara began. My people evolved under a red sun. Our biology adapted to extract every possible bit of energy from weak stellar radiation. But when we're exposed to younger yellow sun radiation, like your Earth sun, our cells absorb and convert that energy into abilities your science might call impossible. Strength, speed, flight, enhanced senses. It's not biotics. It's not tech. It's just biology responding to a different environment. She paused, then added, "Our Earth, not this one. We've come to realize that much." Sparatus's mandibles flared. "You're claiming to be from a parallel dimension? Do you understand how absurd that sounds?" "No more absurd than a mass relay network left by vanished Protheans," Diana countered smoothly. "No more impossible than dozens of species achieving faster-than-light travel simultaneously. You live in a galaxy of wonders, Counselor. Is it so difficult to believe the impossible when evidence stands before you?" "Evidence can be fabricated," Sparatus shot back. "For all we know, your Cerberus experiments. Enhanced humans designed to infiltrate the Citadel. Your arrival could be a false flag operation." The accusation hung in the air. Kara's eyes narrowed. She'd heard whispers about Cerberus during her brief detention, a pro-human paramilitary group with flexible ethics and deep pockets. The kind of organization that reminded her of Cadmus back home. "If we were infiltrators," Kara said coldly, "why would we announce ourselves by crashing through your most public space? Why surrender to your authorities? Why not simply disappear into your population?" "A valid point," Valern conceded. "However, Spectre Arterius's report indicates you demonstrated hostility when tested. Defensive posture suggests training, coordination, tactical awareness. Military assets, not refugees." Diana's eyes flashed dangerously. "Your Spectre ordered automated weapons to fire on unarmed prisoners. We defended ourselves, as any warrior would. If that constitutes hostility in your culture, then your definition of peace is deeply flawed." "You deflected mass accelerator rounds with bracelets," Tivos interjected, her tone carefully neutral. "Kara absorbed kinetic energy that should have torn through shields and armor. These are not the actions of ordinary refugees. The Council must consider all possibilities, including that you represent a new threat." Kara felt frustration building. They were going in circles. The Council wanted proof they were harmless, but every demonstration of their abilities only increased suspicion. It was a paradox: be powerful enough to survive, but weak enough not to threaten. She'd faced similar prejudice on Earth when she first arrived, people fearing what they didn't understand. "What do you want from us?" Kara asked bluntly. "What would convince you we're not enemies?" The three counselors exchanged glances, some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, Tevos spoke. "Cooperation, transparency, proof that your presence benefits the Citadel rather than endangers it." She gestured, and a holographic display materialized. 3 days ago, Batarian slavers raided a human colony on the Verge. They took 247 colonists. Alliance resources are stretched thin. Spectres are occupied with other priorities. If you truly wish to demonstrate your heroic nature, recover those colonists," Sparatus added. "Without starting an interstellar incident, the Batarians are not Citadel members, but antagonizing them could destabilize the Terminus systems. Precision, restraint, success. Prove you can operate within galactic norms." Kara looked at Diana. The Amazon princess's expression was unreadable, but Kara knew her well enough to recognize the calculation happening behind those ancient eyes. This was a test, obviously, but it was also an opportunity. People needed help, and helping people was what they did. "We accept," Diana said formally, "but we require information, ship locations, known Batarian protocols, the colonists' status, and we'll need transportation. Commander Shepard will provide tactical support and oversight," Tivos declared. "Her ship, the Normandy, is equipped for stealth operations. She'll ensure you don't exceed acceptable parameters." Shepard stepped forward, her expression carefully neutral, though Kara's super hearing caught the slight acceleration in her heartbeat. The commander wasn't thrilled about babysitting superhuman wildcards, but she was professional enough to accept the assignment. "Understood, counselors," Shepard said crisply. "We'll depart within the hour." "One more thing," Valern added, his large eyes fixing on Kara. "Your claim of dimensional displacement, if true, presents unprecedented scientific opportunity and potential threat. Recommend full medical and technological analysis upon return. Voluntary compliance would demonstrate good faith." Kara's jaw tightened. "I'm not a lab experiment." "No," Tivos said softly. "You're an unknown element in a carefully balanced galaxy. We're asking you to help us understand what you are, not just what you can do. Surely you see the necessity." Diana placed a hand on Kara's shoulder. "We will consider it, counselors. First, let us prove our intentions through action. The colonists await." The council conferred briefly. Then Tivos nodded. "The session is concluded. Commander Shepard, you have operational authority. Dismissed." As they filed out of the chamber, Garrus fell into step beside them. The Turian's mandibles were quirked in what Kara was learning to recognize as amusement. "So, crashing through dimensions, bulletproof skin, magic bracelets," Garrus said conversationally. "Just another day on the Citadel, right, Commander?" "Stow it, Garrus," Shepard replied, but there was no heat in it. She glanced at Kara and Diana. "Look, I know that was a setup. The Council wants to see what you can do in a controlled environment. But those colonists are real, and they're in real danger. Help me get them back, and maybe we can figure out how to get you home." Kara met Shepard's eyes and saw genuine concern there. Not for galactic politics or council mandates, but for the people suffering while politicians debated. It was the same drive Kara felt every time she heard a cry for help. "We'll get them back," Kara promised. "All of them." Diana smiled, her hand resting on the lasso of truth. "And perhaps your Batarian slavers will learn that some warriors transcend dimensions. Justice is universal, Commander Shepard. It's time we reminded this galaxy of that fact." As they walked through the Citadel toward the docking bay where the Normandy waited, Kara couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. Not the Council, not the crowds, but something else. Something ancient and patient. She pushed the thought aside. People needed help. Everything else could wait. For now. The elusive man sat in his observation deck, the light of a dying star casting his features in perpetual orange twilight. Holographic displays surrounded him. Data streams, intelligence reports, surveillance footage from 1,000 sources. But his attention was fixed on one particular recording, playing on infinite loop. 2 women crashing through reality into the Presidium, absorbing gunfire, moving with impossible speed, speaking of gods and dead planets and dimensions beyond reach. He took a drag from his cigarette, the ember flaring in the darkness. Beside him, Miranda Lawson stood at attention, her genetically perfect features betraying nothing of the concern he knew she felt. "Analysis," he said simply. Miranda activated her Omni tool. The blonde, Kara Zor-El, is a walking fusion reactor. Her cellular structure converts electromagnetic radiation into kinetic energy at impossible efficiency. Best estimates put her physical capabilities at, well, beyond any scale we have. Stronger than a Krogan berserker, faster than a biotic charge, durable enough to walk through a dreadnought's guardian lasers without flinching. And the other? Diana of Themyscira, harder to quantify. Her equipment shouldn't exist, Bronze Age forging techniques producing molecular structures we can't replicate. The lasso she carries emits an energy signature that affects even synthetic intelligence. Forces truth-telling somehow. Her combat capabilities suggest either extensive genetic modification or... Miranda hesitated. Or what? Or she's genuinely what she claims, a demigoddess. A being operating on principles our science can't measure. The elusive man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Humanity has always been defined by those who push boundaries. These two could tip the balance of power in the galaxy. The question is, can we bring them to our side? The Council's using them for a recovery op, Miranda reported. Batarian slavers on the verge, shepherds running oversight. If they succeed, the Council will try to integrate them into Citadel power structures. If they fail, they won't fail. Warriors of that caliber don't fail simple rescue missions. He stubbed out his cigarette. But success creates opportunity. Shepard's still alliance, still bound by protocols and oversight. These two, they're free agents, refugees with no ties, no loyalties, no home. You want to recruit them. I want to show them the truth about this galaxy, the Council's incompetence, the Alliance's limitations, the threats lurking in the dark that no one else is prepared to face. The elusive man turned to face Miranda fully. And when the Reapers come, and they will come, I want humanity to have gods on our side. Miranda's expression flickered, doubt quickly suppressed. Sir, our intelligence on the Reapers is still speculative. Saren's just one rogue specter chasing Prothean technology. Saren is indoctrinated, the elusive man said flatly. I've seen the signs. The Council's too blind to see it, too invested in the status quo to act. But these two? He gestured at the frozen image of SuperGirl and Wonder Woman standing in the Council chambers. They're not bound by politics. They're heroes, Miranda. True believers. And true believers can be guided. Toward what end? Survival. Humanity's survival. These two fell through reality into our universe at the exact moment we need them most. That's either the greatest coincidence in galactic history or fate giving us one last chance. He activated a comm channel. Activate Project Guardian. I want full surveillance on both targets. Every word, every action, every interaction. Find their weaknesses, their motivations, what drives them. And most importantly, he paused, his cybernetic eyes glowing in the starlight. Find out if they can be turned. Miranda nodded crisply. And if they can't? The elusive man's smile was cold. Then we find another way to ensure they don't work against humanity's interests. One way or another, Miranda. These women will serve our cause. They just don't know it yet. The hologram froze on SuperGirl's face, young, determined, powerful beyond measure. The elusive man studied those eyes and saw potential, saw opportunity, saw the future. Contact our assets on Omega, he ordered. I want intelligence on every slaver gang in the Terminus systems. If these two are going after Batarians, we'll make sure they find exactly what they need to succeed. Nothing builds trust like gratitude. Sir, Miranda said carefully, if the Council discovers we're interfering, the Council won't discover anything. They're too busy debating whether these women are threats to notice who's actually helping them. He lit another cigarette. Shepard's a good soldier, but she's limited by protocol. We have no such limitations. By the time this rescue operation is over, Diana and Kara will understand one simple truth. When the galaxy needs real action, Cerberus delivers. Miranda brought up tactical displays of the Verge, highlighting the colony raid locations and known Batarian routes. The colonists are being held on 3 separate ships, heavy guards, torture chambers, the full slaver playbook. Even with their abilities, extracting 247 hostages across multiple vessels without casualties will be nearly impossible. Which is why we're going to help them succeed, quietly. Anonymous intelligence drops. conveniently disabled security systems, routes that just happen to lead to minimal resistance. The elusive man's eyes gleamed. And when they're standing on that ship surrounded by freed colonists, wondering how everything went so smoothly, that's when we make contact. A soft recruitment pitch. Exactly. We don't demand loyalty. We don't make threats. We simply offer what everyone craves: purpose, a cause worth fighting for, protection for those who can't protect themselves. He turned back to the dying star. These women are heroes, Miranda. They're wired for it, genetically or psychologically. Give a hero a mission, and they'll follow it to the end. Give them the right mission, and they'll follow you. Miranda absorbed the plan, already calculating operational parameters and resource allocation. I'll coordinate with our Terminus assets. We'll have full tactical support ready before the Normandy even clears the relay. Good. And Miranda, keep this compartmentalized. Need to know only. If the elusive man is going to play chess with gods, I prefer my opponents don't know they're on the board. As Miranda departed, the elusive man returned his attention to the surveillance footage. He rewound to the moment Wonder Woman's lasso pulsed with golden light, the moment every organic in the council chambers felt the weight of absolute truth. A weapon that compelled honesty, a Kryptonian who could bench press starships, two beings who could reshape the balance of power across the entire galaxy, and they'd fallen into his universe at the perfect moment. The elusive man didn't believe in coincidence. He believed in opportunity. And opportunity, properly leveraged, could save humanity from extinction, even if it required manipulating goddesses. The Normandy SR-1 cut through the void like a blade, her stealth systems rendering her invisible to conventional sensors. In the cargo bay, Kara floated cross-legged 3 feet off the deck plating, eyes closed, focusing on the unfamiliar stellar radiation filtering through the ship's hull. Weaker than Earth's sun, different spectrum. Her cells were adapting, but slowly. Diana sat nearby, methodically checking her equipment. The lasso coiled and uncoiled at her mental command. The bracelets of submission gleamed despite being forged millennia ago, and her sword, the God Killer, rested across her knees. Ancient weapons in a galaxy of mass accelerators and kinetic barriers. "You're troubled," Diana observed without looking up. Kara opened her eyes, settling back to the deck with barely a sound. "I'm trying to figure out the power curve. Back home, yellow sun radiation gives me near-limitless strength. Here, the stars are different. Some boost me, some drain me. That fight on the Presidium, I was operating at maybe 70%. If we hit a red giant system, I might spike to 120. If we pass through a nebula with the wrong radiation signature, you'll adapt. You always do." Diana looked up, her ancient eyes carrying the weight of centuries. "But that's not what's really bothering you," Kara sighed. "The Council, they're not wrong to be afraid. We crashed into their reality with powers they can't measure or control. If I wanted to, I could probably tear this station apart. You could fight your way through their entire military. We're walking weapons of mass destruction, and they're trying to figure out if we're bombs or shields. And which do you think we are? Both. Neither. I don't know anymore." Kara ran a hand through her blonde hair. Back home, the rules were clear. Bad guys wear masks and rob banks. Good guys stop them. But here, the Council plays politics while people suffer. The Alliance is stretched so thin they can't protect their own colonies, and organizations like Cerberus. She'd overheard enough classified chatter to piece together the basics. Operate in the shadows, doing things governments won't admit to. Diana sheathed her sword. The nature of evil doesn't change across dimensions, Kara, nor does the nature of good. Those colonists need help. We can provide it. Everything else is noise. Is it, though? What happens after we save them? The Council isn't going to just let us leave. They'll want us contained, controlled, studied. And if we refuse, then we refuse. Diana's voice carried absolute conviction. I have negotiated with gods and monsters, Kara. I've brokered peace between nations and defied the will of Olympus itself when justice demanded it. These counselors are politicians, nothing more. They may rule the galaxy, but they do not rule us. The cargo bay door hissed open. Commander Shepard entered, flanked by Garrus and a woman with dark skin and kind eyes, Dr. Chakwas, the ship's medical officer. Shepard's expression was all business. We're approaching the target zone, Shepard said. 3 Batarian ships in a loose formation around the mining asteroid where they're holding the colonists. Heavy frigate, 2 corvettes. Approximately 200 Batarian crew, plus the hostages. Garrus activated a holographic display. The good news, Batarians rely on intimidation and numbers, not tactics. The bad news, they're trigger-happy. First sign of rescue attempt, they'll start executing prisoners. Then we don't give them time to react, Kara said, studying the layout. How fast can this ship get us in? The Normandy's stealth systems will get us close, Shepard replied. But the moment we breach their hull, every sensor in the system lights up. We'll have maybe 15 minutes before reinforcements arrive from their base on the asteroid. Diana traced the frigate's outline. 200 hostiles, 247 hostages across 3 ships. Even for us, extracting everyone safely while preventing executions will be challenging. Which is why I'm coming with you, Shepard said firmly, along with Garrus and Rex. We hit the frigate first. That's where they're holding the majority of prisoners. You 2 handle the corvettes simultaneously. Kara blinked. Simultaneously? Diana and I work together. We're a team. And now you'll have to split up. Unless you can be in 2 places at once? The Kryptonian's jaw tightened. Shepard was testing them, seeing if they'd prioritize teamwork over mission effectiveness. It was smart, frustratingly so. Back home, she and Diana had fought side by side for years. Splitting up meant vulnerability, limited backup, higher risk. But it also meant covering more ground, saving more lives faster. I'll take the northern corvette, Kara said quietly. The one parked near the asteroid's shadow. Lower visibility. Easier to approach without being seen. I'll handle the southern vessel, Diana agreed. But Commander, understand this. If my ship is secure and Kara needs assistance, I'm going to her. Mission parameters won't stop me from protecting my sister. Shepard nodded slowly. Fair enough. Just remember, Batarians are slavers, but they're still sapient beings. The Council wants this clean. Minimal casualties, maximum discretion. Define minimal, Garrus muttered. As few as necessary, Shepard clarified. Look, I get it. These are scum who steal people and sell them like cargo. But if we execute every Batarian we find, we're no better than mercenaries. We're soldiers. We follow rules of engagement. Kara met Diana's eyes. The Amazon princess's expression was carefully neutral, but Kara knew what she was thinking. They'd both killed when necessary. Diana had fought in wars spanning millennia, and Kara had faced world-ending threats. But killing slavers who were actively harming innocents, that fell into a moral gray area that Mass Effect civilization apparently handled differently than their home. We'll do it your way, Kara said finally. But if I see someone about to execute a hostage, I'm not stopping to check if my response is proportionate. The hostage lives. Period. I wouldn't expect anything less, Shepard replied. Joker, what's our ETA? The pilot's voice crackled over the comm. 15 minutes to weapons range, Commander. Stealth systems holding. They don't know we're here. Dr. Chakwas stepped forward, holding 2 small devices. Before you go, I need baseline medical readings, just in case you're injured and require treatment. Kara extended her arm, letting the doctor scan her. The device beeped erratically, displaying readings that made Chakwas's eyes widen. Your cellular density is... I don't even have a comparison, and your metabolic rate is spiking. Are you feeling all right? There's a G-class star in this system, Kara explained, similar enough to Earth's sun that I'm charging up. I'll be close to full capacity by the time we hit the ships. Diana's scan was equally confusing. Your bone structure suggests Earth-based biology, but the density is wrong. And I'm detecting trace amounts of divine energy? That can't be right. It's a gift from the gods, Diana said simply. Your instruments are trying to measure things beyond scientific classification. Shepard exchanged glances with her crew. Right. Magic and solar-powered aliens, just another day in Citadel space. She checked her weapons, assault rifle, heavy pistol, omni blade. All right, here's the play. Normandy drops out of stealth, deploys boarding pods. Kara and Diana launch separately, hit their targets simultaneously. My team breaches the frigate, secure hostages, neutralize threats, extract before reinforcements arrive. Questions? What's our extraction protocol if things go sideways? Diana asked. If things go sideways, we improvise, but I've read your files, or what little the Council let me see. You can fly through vacuum, and you're strong enough to tear through starship hulls. If we need emergency evac, you're it. Kara felt a chill despite her invulnerability. She'd never operated in hard vacuum for extended periods. Could her body adapt? Would she have enough solar radiation to maintain life support? Back home, she'd survived space briefly, but this was different. Unknown stars, unknown rules. Diana must have sensed her concern. We faced worse odds, Kara. Trust your abilities, trust your training, but most importantly, trust that you're not alone. Even across ships, we're together. The Normandy shuddered slightly as Joker maneuvered into position. Red lights bathed the cargo bay as the ship went to combat status. 30 seconds, Joker called. Dropping stealth on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark! The ship's engines flared to full power. Alarms shrieked across the Batarian vessels as they detected the Alliance frigate bearing down on them. Kara heard shouting, weapons being armed, commands being screamed in a harsh language she didn't understand, but could translate through context. The cargo bay door opened to the void. Diana clasped Kara's hand briefly. For the innocent. For justice, Kara replied. Then they were moving. Shepard's team piled into the boarding pod, railgun launched toward the Batarian frigate. Diana dove into space with impossible grace, her body oriented toward the southern corvette like an arrow of divine purpose. And Kara flew. The sensation was different here, wrong somehow. The void felt heavier, or maybe she felt lighter. The distant star fed her cells, but the energy flowed differently than yellow sun radiation. She pushed through it, accelerating toward her target, watching the corvette's guardian turrets track her approach. They opened fire. Energy lances cut through the black, and Kara twisted mid-flight, letting them pass harmlessly. She could tank the hits, but why waste the energy? She closed the distance in seconds, saw the hull rushing toward her, and made a choice. She didn't slow down. Kara punched through the corvette's armor like tissue paper, the shriek of tearing metal barely audible in the vacuum. She tumbled through compartments, emergency bulkheads slamming shut behind her, finally stopping in what looked like a cargo hold. Batarians, four-eyed, surprised, reaching for weapons, and behind them, caged like animals, 23 human colonists staring at her with hope and terror warring in their eyes. Kara stood, her cape settling around her shoulders, her eyes beginning to glow with barely restrained power. "Everyone stay calm," she said, her voice carrying authority she'd learned from years of heroism. "I'm here to take you home." Then the Batarians opened fire, and Kara showed them exactly what a Kryptonian could do when protecting the innocent. Saren Arterius watched the operation unfold from the bridge of his personal frigate, the Varican, positioned at the system's edge. His Omni-tool displayed multiple tactical feeds, the Normandy's assault on the Batarian frigate, energy signatures tracking SuperGirl and Wonder Woman as they tore through the corvettes like gods of war. And beneath it all, the whisper. They are strong. They could serve. Saren's mandibles twitched. The voice had been with him for months now, ever since he'd discovered the Prothean beacon on Eden Prime. At first, he'd thought it was his own thoughts, the logical extension of decades spent protecting the galaxy from threats the Council was too weak to confront. But lately, the whispers had taken on a life of their own. The old machines will return. These new ones could stop them, or be stopped by them. "Sir," his lieutenant approached cautiously, "the Batarians are breaking formation, multiple hull breaches across all 3 vessels. Should we intervene?" Saren considered. His orders from the Council were simple: observe and report. Ensure the rescue operation didn't escalate into an interstellar incident. But watching these 2 women work, watching them move with precision and power that made even his augmented body seem primitive, he saw opportunity. "Maintain position," Saren ordered. "Let them work. I want full sensor recordings of their capabilities." The Kryptonian was a blur of motion on his tactical display, moving through the corvette faster than kinetic barriers could track. She wasn't killing the Batarians, Shepard's influence, no doubt, but she was removing them from combat with brutal efficiency. Armor crumpled. Weapons shattered. Bodies flew through corridors to land in unconscious heaps. And Wonder Woman? She was art in motion. The Southern Corvette's crew had tried to rally a defense in the main cargo hold, where 30 colonists were caged. 14 Batarians with assault rifles, a biotic enforcer, and a Krogan mercenary who'd probably cost them half their profits to hire. Against any normal boarding party, it would have been a slaughter. Diana walked through their fire like she was strolling through rain. Her bracelets deflected mass accelerator rounds with contemptuous ease. The biotic's warp field dissipated against some kind of divine shielding Saren's sensors couldn't classify. When the Krogan charged, all 1,000 pounds of battle rage and redundant organs, Diana simply caught him. One hand on his charge, momentum negated. And then she threw him through 3 bulkheads with enough force that Saren's sensors registered the impact as a minor explosion. The lasso came out next, and the remaining Batarians discovered they couldn't lie their way out of imprisonment. Diana questioned them rapidly. Where were the other hostages? Were there bombs? Traps? The Batarians answered truthfully, compelled by golden light and divine will, and within 90 seconds she'd secured the entire ship. Impressive, useful, dangerous. She neutralized 15 hostiles in under 2 minutes, the lieutenant reported. Without lethal force, the colonists are unharmed. Saren's eyes narrowed. The Council feared these women's power, but power itself wasn't the threat. Power could be controlled, directed, utilized. What made them dangerous was their independence. They didn't answer to governments or species loyalty. They answered to their own moral code, which made them either the galaxy's greatest assets or its most unpredictable variables. The Normandy had breached the Batarian frigate, and Shepard's team was extracting the main group of hostages. Saren watched Shepard work, efficient, professional, lethal when necessary, but restrained when possible. The commander had potential. She understood the galaxy's harsh realities better than most Alliance soldiers. But these 2, they operated on entirely different principles. They could interfere. They could disrupt the cycle. They must be controlled or eliminated. Saren shook his head, physically trying to clear the whisper. What cycle? What was he thinking about? The words felt important, urgent, but when he tried to focus on them, they slipped away like water. Sir, the Batarian reinforcements are incoming. 5 frigates from the asteroid base. ETA 8 minutes. Patch me through to the Normandy. Shepard's face appeared on his display, framed by explosions and the chaos of active combat. Kind of busy, Saren. You have 8 minutes before overwhelming force arrives. Recommend immediate extraction. We're not leaving anyone behind. Another 3 minutes and we'll have everyone. Then you'll be fighting a fleet action with a stealth frigate and 2 unknowns. Saren's tactical mind calculated probabilities. The Verican can buy you time. I'll intercept the reinforcements, slow their approach. But move fast, Commander. Shepard's eyes narrowed with suspicion. Since when do you play hero? Since the Council ordered me to ensure this operation succeeds. Don't read into it. He cut the channel before she could respond. Why help them? They are tools, assets. Let them struggle. Because, Saren realized, some part of him still believed in the mission, still believed that protecting the innocent, even human innocence, mattered. The Whisper wanted him to let chaos reign, but he was still a Spectre, still a Guardian, even if he was becoming something else. Helm, intercept course, target the lead Batarian frigate, weapons free. The Verican surged forward, her main gun charging. The Batarian reinforcements detected him immediately, their communications channels exploding with confusion. A Spectre defending human colonists, attacking Batarian vessels. Saren smiled grimly. Let them be confused. Let the Council deal with the political fallout. Right now, all that mattered was buying time for those 2 extraordinary women to finish their work. Because if they were going to exist in this galaxy, he needed to understand them, needed to know if they could be allies when the real threat emerged. There is no alliance with the old machines, only harvest or ascension. Saren ignored the Whisper and opened fire. On the northern corvette, Kara had just finished securing the last hostage when her super hearing caught something that made her blood run cold. A conversation, barely audible, coming from the engineering section 3 decks down. Armed the self-destruct. 30 seconds. These human pigs aren't worth capture anyway. 30 seconds. 23 hostages behind her, none of them in suits. The ship about to detonate in hard vacuum. Everyone stay exactly where you are, Kara commanded. Then she was moving. She tore through the decks, following the Batarian's heartbeat, and found him in engineering with his 4 eyes wide with shock as she materialized in front of him. Turn it off, Kara said, her voice absolutely level. It can't be stopped. The ship dies and everyone. Kara's heat vision lanced out, microsurgery at supersonic speed, and the Batarian's Omni-tool exploded in a shower of sparks. He screamed, clutching his burned hand, and Kara was already at the engineering console. 15 seconds. She'd studied Alliance technology during her brief stay on the Citadel, but Batarian systems were different. Cruder, more brutal in their design philosophy. She ripped open access panels, her enhanced senses tracking power flows, and found the detonator relay. 8 seconds. Joker, Kara activated her comm. I need a Batarian engineering expert right now. Little busy flying, Supergirl. 5 seconds. Diana's voice calm across the channel. Kara, can you contain the blast? Could she? Kara stared at the bomb, a crude antimatter device, enough to vaporize the ship and everyone on it. Could her body absorb that kind of energy? Would her invulnerability hold? 2 seconds. She grabbed the bomb, ripped it free from its housing, and flew. Up through the decks, through the already breached hull, into the void. The G-class star fed her cells, solar radiation flooding her system, and Kara threw the bomb with every ounce of strength she possessed. It detonated 50,000 kilometers away, a miniature sun blooming in the darkness, and the shockwave hit her like a freight train made of fire and rage. Kara tumbled through space, her ears ringing, her body screaming but intact, alive. She oriented herself, found the Corvette, and flew back. The hostages were still there, terrified but safe. The Batarian with the burned hand was unconscious on the deck. "Everyone okay?" Kara asked, her voice shaking slightly. A young woman, barely 20, nodded with tears streaming down her face. "You saved us. You actually saved us." Kara managed to smile. "That's what heroes do." 15 minutes later, all 3 ships were secure. The Normandy's cargo bay was packed with freed colonists, medical staff treating injuries and shock. Shepard debriefed with Saren via comm, while Garrus coordinated with Alliance reinforcements. Kara and Diana stood together, watching the colonists reunite with their families over holocoms. 27 injuries, 0 fatalities. By any measure, a perfect rescue. So why did Kara feel hollow? "You're wondering if it matters," Diana said quietly. "We saved 247 people today. Tomorrow there'll be 247 more somewhere else, and we can't be everywhere." Kara's eyes tracked a mother holding her daughter. "Back home I could fly around the world in minutes. Here, there are billions of worlds, trillions of people. How do we choose who to save? We save those we can reach. We inspire others to save more. We prove that heroism isn't bound by dimension or distance." Diana placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is what we do, Kara, even when it feels impossible." Shepard approached, her expression neutral but her eyes carrying respect. "The Council's calling. They want a debrief. But before that," she extended her hand, "good work, both of you. You saved a lot of lives today." Kara shook her hand, felt the calluses of a soldier who'd seen combat, and recognized a kindred spirit. "Thank you for trusting us. Don't thank me yet. The political fallout from Saren's intervention is going to be a nightmare. But yeah, today was a win." Shepard glanced at Diana. "The Council's going to want you integrated into their power structure now. Spectres, special forces, something official. You realize that, right?" Diana smiled, ancient and knowing. "Let them want. Kara and I serve justice, not bureaucracy. We'll help your galaxy, Commander Shepard, but on our terms." Before Shepard could respond, alarms shrieked across the Normandy. Joker's voice crackled over the comm, urgent and afraid. "Commander, we've got a massive signal just appeared on sensors. Unknown configuration, Reaper-level power signature, and it's heading straight for us." Kara's enhanced hearing picked up the fear in his voice. Whatever was coming, it terrified even the cocky pilot. She looked at Diana, saw her own concern reflected in those ancient eyes. They just announced themselves to the galaxy as heroes, and something very old, very powerful, had taken notice. The entity that emerged from FTL was beyond anything in Citadel records. 2 kilometers of dark metal, its hull inscribed with patterns that seemed to shift when observed directly. It moved with organic fluidity despite its massive size, and every sensor on the Normandy screamed contradictions. Synthetic but alive, ancient but ageless, wrong on a fundamental level that made even hardened veterans feel primal fear. "Sovereign-class signature," Joker reported, his voice tight. "But the profile doesn't match any known vessel. It's not firing, not making demands, just watching us." On the bridge, Shepard stood with Kara and Diana flanking her. The Kryptonian's eyes glowed faintly, her enhanced vision trying to pierce the vessel's secrets. Diana's hand rested on her sword. Warrior instincts screaming danger, even as no overt threat materialized. "Geth?" Garrus suggested from the weapons station. "Geth ships don't look like that," Shepard replied. And they sure as hell don't produce readings that make our VE think it's having a stroke. Kara's voice was quiet, disturbed. I can't see inside it. My X-ray vision just stops, like the hull's absorbing everything I throw at it. That should be impossible, Garrus said. We're way past impossible, Shepard muttered. She opened a channel. Unknown vessel, this is Commander Shepard of the Alliance frigate Normandy. State your intentions or withdraw from this system. For 5 long seconds, only static answered. Then a voice emerged, deep, resonant, layered with harmonics that suggested multiple beings speaking as one. Or one being speaking with the voice of millions. SuperGirl, Wonder Woman, you who have breached the walls between realities. The voice bypassed the Normandy's communications entirely, emanating from everywhere and nowhere. Kara felt it in her bones, a vibration that resonated at frequencies she'd never encountered. Diana's divine nature recoiled from it, not mortal, not immortal, but something fundamentally other. Your arrival has created a disturbance. The cycle acknowledges your presence. The cycle? Diana stepped forward, projecting calm she didn't feel. Who are you? What cycle? We are Harbinger. We are the beginning of your end. We have watched organic life rise and fall for millions of years. Civilizations are born, grow, reach their apex, and are harvested. This is the natural order. Shepard's hand moved to her pistol, useless though it would be. You're talking about the Reapers, the legends. Legends are the memories of those who survived the harvest. Few do. Fewer remember clearly. The massive vessel rotated slightly, and Kara felt its attention focus on her like a physical weight. But you are not of this cycle. You are anomalies, unplanned variables in an equation that has been solved countless times. We're not variables, Kara said, her voice steady despite the fear creeping up her spine. We're people, and if you're talking about harvesting civilizations, then we're going to be a problem for you. Your confidence is noted. Your capabilities are intriguing. The Kryptonian biology, processes, stellar radiation with 97% efficiency, the Amazonian channels, dimensional energies. This reality labels divine, both exceed standard organic limitations by orders of magnitude. Diana drew her sword, the god-killer gleaming with light that made the Normandy's sensors malfunction. You speak as if you're analyzing us for harvest. I assure you, Harbinger, we are far more difficult to claim than organic civilizations. All organics believe themselves special. All organics fall before us, eventually. The cycle is inevitable. The harvest cannot be stopped. A pause, heavy with implication. But your presence creates complications. You do not belong to this cycle. Your continued existence may disrupt patterns established across millions of years. Kara felt a surge of anger. This thing, this Reaper, spoke about genocide as casually as someone discussing the weather. Millions of years of civilizations, lives, dreams, all reduced to patterns and cycles to be harvested like crops. Then let us disrupt them, Kara said, rising off the deck slightly, her aura beginning to glow with contained power. If you've been murdering civilizations for millions of years, it's time someone stood up to you. Your defiance is predictable. All organic life resists transcendence. The Geth resisted. The Protheans resisted. The countless cycles before them resisted. All were harvested. All became part of us. Not all, Shepard interjected. The Protheans left warnings. They survived long enough to create the conduit, to plan for the next cycle. You're not invincible. The Protheans delayed. They did not prevent. Sovereign will soon open the path. The Reapers will return. And when we do, This cycle, including its anomalies, will be processed. Diana's lasso began to glow, pulsing with truth-seeking energy. You fear us. Beneath your proclamations of inevitability, you fear what we represent. Two beings who don't belong to your cycle, who can't be predicted or controlled. For the first time, Harbinger's voice carried something other than cold certainty, something that might have been consideration. Fear is an organic concept. We do not fear, we calculate. You represent a 3.7% deviation from expected parameters, negligible in the grand calculus, yet worth observing. The massive ship began to rotate away, preparing to jump. But before it left, Harbinger delivered one final message. Saren Artarius has been prepared. The indoctrination progresses. Sovereign will soon gain access to the Citadel. When the Reapers return, you will face a choice: serve and ascend, or resist and be processed. We offer this choice because you are anomalies. This mercy will not be offered twice. Until the harvest, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, we will be watching. The vessel vanished. FTL jumped, leaving nothing but distorted space and a crew full of people trying to process what they'd just witnessed. Silence filled the bridge for a full 10 seconds. Then Shepard moved, urgency overriding shock. Joker, set course for the Citadel. Maximum speed. We need to warn the Council about Saren. Commander, Garrus said carefully, they're not going to believe us. We just told them about two-dimensional refugees yesterday. Now we're saying ancient machine gods are coming to harvest the galaxy. I don't care if they believe us. We have a duty to report. Shepard turned to Kara and Diana. You two just got name-dropped by an ancient AI that's been killing civilizations for millions of years. Any thoughts? Kara's hands were clenched into fists, her eyes still glowing. That thing, Harbinger, it spoke about harvesting like it was natural, like genocide was just part of a process. I've fought a lot of monsters, Commander, but I've never encountered something that treated life with such indifference. The Reapers view organic life as we might view crops, Diana said, her voice carrying the weight of millennia. A resource to be managed, harvested, and utilized. They don't hate us. They don't even see us as enemies. We're simply raw materials for their purpose. What purpose? Shepard demanded. Preservation of some kind, Diana mused. Harbinger mentioned transcendence, ascension. It believes it's saving civilizations, not destroying them. In its mind, being harvested is being elevated. Kara shook her head violently. I don't care what it believes. It's wrong. Life isn't meant to be harvested or processed. It's meant to be lived, to grow, to choose its own destiny. These Reapers, they're the antithesis of everything I stand for. Then we fight them, Shepard said simply. When they come, and they will come, we fight. Commander, the calm crackled. Saren's voice, but strained, as if speaking cost him effort. I monitored that transmission. Did Harbinger truly name me? Claim I was indoctrinated? Shepard hesitated. It did. Impossible. I'm a Spectre. I've undergone resistance training, psychological fortification, neural safeguards. He stopped. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. How long? We don't know, Shepard said gently. Maybe since Eden Prime. Maybe longer. The beacon. Saren's words came slowly, as if he was fighting himself. I found a Prothean beacon, touched it, saw visions. I thought it was knowledge, understanding the Prothean warning. But the whispers started after that. Thoughts that weren't mine. Ideas that seemed logical but felt wrong. Kara exchanged glances with Diana. Indoctrination. Mind control on a level that made victims believe they were still free. It reminded her of Despero's mental manipulation, or the Mind Stone's influence. technology that stripped away free will while leaving the victim convinced they were acting independently. "Saren," Diana said, her voice carrying compassion, "you must resist. Whatever the Reapers have done to you, you are still yourself. Your will is your own." "No." The word came distorted, as if two voices spoke. "Saren serves. Saren prepares the way. Sovereign requires access to the Citadel. The conduit will be found. The cycle will continue." Then, strained, Saren's true voice broke through. "Shepard, the Varican's self-destruct. Activated. Can't stop." The comm cut out. "Joker, lock on to Saren's ship," Shepard ordered. "Already gone, Commander. He jumped. Drives are showing critical cascade failure. He's not going to make it out of FTL." Another silence. Another good soldier lost to the Reaper's machinations. Kara felt sick. They'd just watched a man die fighting his own mind, trying to warn them even as something else wore his body like a puppet. "He tried to resist at the end," Garrus said quietly. "That counts for something." "It counts for nothing if we don't stop this." Shepard's jaw was set. The Reapers are real. Saren was their agent, and something called Sovereign is going to try accessing the Citadel. We need to get ahead of this. Diana was already thinking tactically. "The conduit. Harbinger mentioned it. What is it?" "Prothean technology," Shepard explained. "There are theories. Elos, the last Prothean world to fall, might have a back door to the Citadel. If Sovereign finds it before we do, then the Reapers gain access to the heart of galactic civilization," Kara finished. "We need to find Ilos first." "We need Council authorization," Garrus pointed out. "Ilos is in the Terminus systems. Going there without approval is technically an act of war." Shepard smiled grimly. "Then it's a good thing we've got two goddesses who don't answer to the Council. If this goes sideways, I can claim you two acted independently." "We don't use that kind of political maneuvering where we come from," Diana said. "Welcome to the Mass Effect galaxy. Politics and survival go hand in hand." Shepard pulled up star charts. "Joker, how long to the Citadel?" 6 hours at maximum burn." "Do it, and someone get me everything we have on the Mu relay. If we're going to Ilos, we need to know what we're flying into." As the Normandy surged toward the Citadel, Kara floated near the observation window, watching stars stream past. Diana joined her, the two of them silent in their shared concern. "We're a long way from home," Kara said softly. "We are," Diana agreed. "But home isn't just a place, it's a purpose. Protecting those who need protection, standing against darkness wherever it rises." She turned to face Kara. "These Reapers have threatened an entire galaxy. They've murdered countless civilizations. If we're here, now, at this moment, perhaps the universe sent us exactly when we were needed most." Kara managed a small smile. "Destiny? Or coincidence with a purpose?" Diana placed a hand on her shoulder. "Either way, sister, we do what we've always done. We fight. We save lives. We prove that hope is stronger than any cycle of death." Out in the void, unseen and unknowable, Harbinger continued its calculations. The anomalies had been identified, parameters adjusted, the cycle would continue. But for the first time in millions of years, the outcome was not certain. And in the cold mathematics of the Reapers, uncertainty was the most dangerous variable of all. The Citadel Council chambers erupted into chaos the moment Shepard finished her report. Ambassador Udina was shouting about humanity's credibility. The Turian Councilor dismissed Reaper claims as Geth propaganda. The Solarian Councilor demanded concrete proof beyond sensor data that could be fabricated. Only Councilor Tivos maintained composure, her ancient Asari mind processing implications, while her colleagues argued. Kara stood beside Diana in the petitioner's circle, watching organic politics grind against existential threat. It reminded her of the Justice League's early days, trying to convince world leaders that metahuman threats were real, while those same leaders debated jurisdiction and sovereignty. Absolutely no credible evidence. Saren was a decorated specter, cannot base galactic policy on censor ghosts and fever dreams. Enough. Diana's voice cut through the debate like a sword through silk. The lasso of truth glowed at her hip, and every being in the chamber felt compelled to silence. You bicker while death approaches. The Reapers are real. Harbinger named itself. Saren died fighting their control, and you debate evidence? Sparatus bristled. Princess Diana, you've been in our galaxy for less than 72 hours. You don't understand our political realities. I understand that politics without purpose is theater. Diana's eyes blazed. I've watched civilizations fall because leaders chose comfortable lies over hard truths. Your Reapers are coming. You can prepare or you can debate. But you cannot do both. Counselor Valern's fingers danced across his Omni tool. Analyzed Normandy sensor data. 97% probability readings are authentic. 3% margin accounts for sensor malfunction or elaborate deception. Voice pattern analysis on Harbinger transmission. Non-organic. Layered harmonics suggesting hive intelligence or distributed processing. Conclusion. Threat is real or deception is beyond current technological capability to fabricate. Even if we accept the Reaper threat, Tivos said carefully, we cannot authorize military action based on one encounter. The political fallout will be irrelevant if the Reapers harvest your civilization, Kara interrupted. She'd been silent, listening, learning the rhythms of Citadel politics. But patience had limits. Commander Shepard risked her career bringing this to you. Saren died trying to warn you, and you're worried about politics? We're worried about panic, Tivos corrected. If we announce that ancient machine gods are coming to harvest all organic life, every species in Citadel space will respond differently. Some will flee, some will militarize, some will turn to desperate measures. The social fabric could collapse before the Reapers even arrive. Diana nodded slowly. I understand. Fear is a weapon that destroys from within. But so is ignorance. Your people deserve to know the threat they face. What we need, Shepard interjected, is actionable intelligence. Harbinger mentioned Sovereign and the Conduit. If we can find and secure the Conduit before Sovereign reaches it, we cut off the Reaper's access route to the Citadel. Sparatus's mandibles flexed in what might have been grudging respect. You're proposing a preemptive strike into the Terminus systems based on fragmentary intelligence and the word of an indoctrinated specter. That's insane. It's necessary, Shepard countered. It's unauthorized, Sparatus snapped. The Council cannot sanction. Then don't. Kara stepped forward, her cape settling around armored shoulders. Diana and I aren't Citadel citizens. We don't answer to Council authority. Give us the intelligence you have on Elos and the Conduit. We'll investigate independently. If we find nothing, you lose nothing. If we find Sovereign preparing to open the gateway for the Reapers, you'll have advance warning. The three counselors exchanged glances. Some unspoken communication passing between them. Finally, Tivos spoke. You would operate without official sanction. Any political fallout would be your responsibility. We accept that, Diana said immediately. And if you start a war in the Terminus systems, then we'll end it, Kara replied with certainty that brooked no argument. Counselor Valern's Omni tool projected a star map. Elos, Prothean world, last to fall 50,000 years ago, located beyond the Mu relay in the Terminus systems. Heavy radiation makes detailed scans impossible. Ground survey required. Estimated hostile environment, extreme. We've handled worse, Kara said, studying the planet's profile. Radiation that would kill most organic life in hours. ruined Prothean structures that might contain traps or automated defenses, and potentially a massive Reaper vessel guarding whatever secrets remained. "Commander Shepard," Tivos said formally, "you are hereby ordered to return to Alliance space and await further instructions. The Council cannot authorize this mission." Shepard's expression remained neutral. "Understood, Counselor. I will return to Alliance space immediately." "Good. Dismissed." As they filed out of the chambers, Garrus leaned close to Shepard. "You're not actually going back, are you?" "Of course not. I'm dropping you and the crew off at a safe port, then taking the Normandy to Ilos with our two-dimensional refugees." Shepard glanced at Kara and Diana. "Unless you two want to steal a ship and go alone." "We don't steal," Diana said primly. "We borrow with noble intent." "That's stealing with extra steps." "It's borrowing," Diana insisted. Kara smiled despite the tension. "Commander, if you're offering transport, we accept. But we understand the risk. If the Council finds out, they'll court-martial me, strip my Spectre candidacy, and probably imprison me for violating direct orders." Shepard shrugged. "But here's the thing. I didn't become a soldier to follow orders. I became a soldier to protect people. If the Reapers are real, and I believe they are, then every second we waste is another second they get to prepare." "You're either the bravest human I've met in this galaxy or the most reckless," Diana observed. "Why not both?" Shepard replied with a grin that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Welcome to the life of a Spectre candidate. We get all the responsibility, none of the authority, and a really high mortality rate." They walked through the Presidium, and Kara noticed eyes following them. News of the Reaper report had leaked, of course it had, and speculation ran wild. Some watched with fear, others with skepticism, and more than a few with calculation. In a shadowed alcove, a figure observed their passage. The elusive man's hologram flickered into existence beside a Cerberus operative embedded deep within Citadel security. "They're going to Ilos," the operative reported. "No official sanction. Shepard's committing career suicide." "Shepard's doing what heroes do," the elusive man corrected. "Acting when others debate, taking risks when bureaucrats hide behind protocols." He took a drag from his cigarette. "Make sure they have everything they need. Supply caches along the route. Intelligence updates on Sovereign's movements. I want them to succeed." "Sir, if they stop Sovereign, the Council will credit themselves. Let them. What matters is that humanity and our two extraordinary guests prove themselves when it counts. Let the Council believe they're in control. We'll know the truth." The hologram flickered. "And when the Reapers come, when the Council's carefully maintained order collapses, humanity will be the one standing with gods at our side." The operative nodded and vanished into the crowds. 3 hours later, the Normandy departed Citadel space with a skeleton crew. Joker flew because no one else could. Garrus stayed despite Shepard's orders to leave because some things mattered more than following commands. Dr. Chakwas remained because wounded heroes would need medical care. And Rex, the Krogan battlemaster, stayed because the idea of fighting ancient machine gods appealed to his warrior spirit. In the cargo bay, Kara practiced controlling her powers under different stellar conditions. The Normandy's database contained spectral analysis of hundreds of star types, and she was memorizing which ones boosted her abilities versus which ones drained them. Blue giants gave her incredible strength. Red dwarfs weakened her. Binary systems created strange feedback loops she was still learning to navigate. Diana meditated nearby, her connection to the divine reaching across dimensional barriers. The Olympians were gone from this universe. She'd searched and found only silence where once gods answered prayers. But her power remained. Gifts given couldn't be taken, even across realities. She was still an Amazon, still a warrior, still Wonder Woman. "I've been thinking," Kara said, breaking the silence. Harbinger said we were a 3.7% deviation. That's specific, like it's calculated outcomes for millions of years, and we're barely a blip. 3.7% is the difference between victory and extinction, Diana countered. In battle, the smallest advantage can determine survival. The Reapers calculate in certainties. We represent uncertainty. That terrifies them more than any weapon. Does it? They seemed pretty confident. Confidence and certainty are not the same. Confidence is emotional. Certainty is mathematical. The Reapers are certain of their cycle, confident in their superiority. But we've introduced doubt. Diana opened her eyes. And doubt, sister, is the most powerful weapon against tyranny. Shepard entered, carrying data pads. We're 6 hours from the Mu relay. Once we jump to Ilos, there's no turning back. The relay's one way, some kind of Prothean security measure. We won't be able to return without finding another route. Then we'd better succeed, Kara said. What's our tactical situation? Shepard projected a hologram. Ilos' surface is bombarded with radiation strong enough to kill most organic life. You two should be fine. Kryptonian biology and divine constitution. The rest of us will need heavy shielding. The Prothean ruins are extensive, and somewhere in them is the conduit. A back door to the Citadel. And Sovereign? Diana asked. Unknown. Our intelligence suggests it's heading for Ilos, but Reaper stealth tech is beyond anything we've encountered. It could already be there. Kara felt a chill. A 2-kilometer vessel that could indoctrinate organic minds, process entire civilizations, and had survived for millions of years. She'd fought Darkseid, survived Doomsday, faced threats that could shatter planets. But something about the Reapers' cold indifference made them uniquely terrifying. We'll handle it, Kara said with more confidence than she felt. We've fought gods and monsters. Machine gods are just another Tuesday. That confidence is either inspiring or suicidal, Garrus commented from the doorway. I'm going with inspiring. Makes it easier to follow you into certain death. Diana laughed, a sound like bells in darkness. Tell me, Garrus Vicarian, how does your culture honor warriors who fall in battle? We inscribe their names on Palaven's moon, each name a reminder that we stood against extinction and survived. Then we shall ensure no names are added this day. We fight, we survive, and we prove that the cycle can be broken. The Normandy jumped to FTL and reality twisted around them. Ahead lay Ilos, ancient secrets, and potentially the first Reaper they'd face in open combat. Behind them, the elusive man watched through encrypted channels, his chess pieces moving into position. And somewhere in dark space, Harbinger calculated probabilities, adjusting for 2 variables that shouldn't exist. The cycle was inevitable. But for the first time in millions of years, the Reapers weren't certain. And uncertainty, in the cold mathematics of extinction, was the beginning of hope. Ilos burned. Not with fire, but with radiation so intense it painted the sky in shades of violet and amber that no organic eye should witness and survive. The Normandy descended through atmospheric interference that made Joker curse creatively. Her stealth systems pushed beyond rated capacity as they approached the Prothean ruins. Kara stood at the viewport, watching the dead world rise to meet them. 50,000 years ago, this had been a thriving civilization's last bastion. Now it was a graveyard of crystalline spires and twisted metal, monuments to a species that had fought the Reapers and lost. Radiation levels are off the charts, Chakwas reported from the medical bay. Even with shielding, we're looking at lethal exposure within 6 hours. Then we work fast, Shepard said, already suited up in heavy armor with additional rad shielding. Kara, Diana, your point. Find the conduit, secure it, and signal extraction. Garrus and Rex, you're with me for backup. Joker stays with the ship. Where's the fun in that? Joker complained. The fun is surviving. Don't make me regret bringing you. The cargo bay doors opened to Ilos's surface, and Kara felt the radiation wash over her like warm rain. Her Kryptonian cells drank it in, converting harmful particles into pure energy. Not as efficient as solar radiation, but usable. She'd be at maybe 80% capacity, more than enough. Diana descended the ramp with impossible grace, her divine constitution rendering her immune to mere atomic decay. She surveyed the ruins with a warrior's eye, cataloging threats and tactical positions automatically. The architecture is beautiful, Diana murmured. Even in death, they built with purpose and pride. Beauty won't stop the Reapers, Rex growled, his shotgun loaded and ready. The Krogan seemed unbothered by the radiation, his redundant biological systems shrugging off what would kill lesser species. Garrus's visor highlighted structural weak points and potential ambush locations. Movement ahead, multiple signatures. Geth platforms, looks like. Kara's enhanced vision confirmed it. 200 meters ahead, synthetic soldiers patrolled the ruins in coordinated patterns. Geth, the rebellious AI that served the Reapers. Each one was a networked node in a larger intelligence, dangerous individually and lethal collectively. How do you want to play this? Shepard asked, deferring to the two who'd proven their tactical acumen. Diana studied the patrol routes, her millennia of combat experience processing information faster than any combat zigzags. They're protecting something. The conduit is ahead through that central spire. We could attempt stealth, but stealth isn't our style, Kara finished. She'd been analyzing the Geth's construction, synthetic bodies, networked intelligence, no true individual consciousness. Like fighting drones, not living beings. The moral calculus was simpler. I'll draw their attention. You flank and secure the conduit. Kara, Diana started. I'm bulletproof, Diana, they're not. Let me be the distraction. Kara cracked her knuckles, a very human gesture from a decidedly superhuman being. Besides, I've been wanting to test my limits in this universe. 200 Geth platforms. Good warm-up. Before anyone could object, SuperGirl launched. She covered the distance in a blur, sonic boom cracking across the dead landscape. The Geth responded instantly, weapons tracking her approach with synthetic precision. Mass accelerator rounds filled the air, thousands of hypervelocity projectiles converging on a single target. Kara flew through them like they were raindrops. She hit the first Geth platform with enough force to reduce it to component atoms. The second lost its optical sensors to heat vision that carved through armor like tissue paper. The third, through 10th, fell to a supersonic flyby that generated shockwaves strong enough to shatter their structural integrity. The Geth adapted. They always adapted. Shields went up, heavy weapons deployed, rocket launchers tracked her movements, and for a brief moment, Kara understood why the organics feared synthetic intelligence. The Geth learned faster than any organic opponent, each platform sharing combat data in real time, adjusting tactics instantaneously. But Kara Zor-El had fought Brainiac. She'd battled armies of robot minions controlled by apocalyptic AI. The Geth were dangerous, efficient, and ruthless. They weren't enough. She landed in the center of their formation and spun, her cape whipping around her body as she moved faster than their targeting systems could track. Geth platforms flew apart, weapons shattered. For 30 seconds, SuperGirl was a tornado of controlled destruction, and when she stopped, 200 synthetic soldiers were reduced to sparking wreckage. "Clear," she called over the comm. Diana's voice carried approval. "Efficient, brutal. I'm impressed. Save the compliments. We've got company." Kara's enhanced hearing had picked up something the others missed, a deep thrumming that resonated through the planet's crust. Familiar, terrifying. The same frequency Harbinger's vessel had emitted. Sovereign was here. The conduit chamber was a cathedral of impossible geometry, Prothean architecture that seemed to exist in more dimensions than 3. At its center stood a massive ring structure, 20 meters across, covered in glowing circuitry that pulsed with ancient power. "That's it," Shepard breathed, "the back door to the Citadel." "And we're not alone," Diana said, her sword drawn. From the shadows emerged a figure in black armor, blue circuitry glowing beneath synthetic skin. Once he'd been organic. Now he was something else, augmented, modified, more machine than man. But his eyes still held recognition. "Saren," Shepard said quietly. "Was Saren," the figure corrected, his voice layered with Reaper harmonics. "Am Saren. The distinction blurs. Sovereign has shown me the futility of resistance. Organic and synthetic must merge. The Reapers offer evolution, not extinction." Kara stepped forward. "You died. We heard your self-destruct. A clone, a backup. Sovereign values useful assets." Saren, or what remained of him, gestured to the conduit. "You cannot stop this. The path is open. The Reapers return. But you, anomalies, you could join us, ascend, become more than flesh." "We're already more than flesh," Diana said coldly. "We're free. You're a slave wearing your chains like jewelry and calling it enlightenment." Saren's expression flickered. Pain, clarity, then nothing. Free will is chaos. The Reapers bring order, perfection. Why resist what is inevitable? "Because nothing is inevitable," Kara replied. "We're proof of that. We broke through dimensional barriers. We exist outside your cycle, and we're going to stop you." Saren raised his hand and the conduit activated. Energy crackled across its surface, and through the portal, they could see the Citadel, its wards, its defenses, all about to be breached from within. "Too late," Saren said. "Sovereign is already moving. The Citadel falls. The cycle continues." Then he moved, augmented speed carrying him toward the conduit. Shepard fired, rounds sparking off shields. Garrus's sniper rifle cracked, each shot perfectly placed but insufficient. Rex charged, Krogan battle rage meeting Reaper augmentation. Diana intercepted. The collision shook the chamber. Amazon demigoddess versus Reaper modified Spectre. Diana's sword met Saren's armblade, divine metal against synthetic augmentation. They traded blows faster than unaugmented eyes could follow, each strike carrying lethal intent. "You were a hero once," Diana said, her lasso glowing as she tried to bind him. "Fight the indoctrination. Reclaim yourself." "I am myself," Saren roared, but his voice broke. I am... The lasso's golden light touched him, and for one moment, Saren Arterius, the real Saren, broke through. "Kill me," he gasped. "Please, I can't stop it. Sovereign controls everything. I'm just a puppet. End it. End me." Diana hesitated, compassion warring with necessity. In that hesitation, the Reaper reasserted control. Soren's body convulsed. "Thank you for the weakness." He fired point blank. Diana's bracelets deflected the shot, but the force drove her back. Saren dove through the conduit, his body vanishing into the portal. Behind him, the structure began to destabilize, energy readings spiking toward critical. "It's collapsing," Shepard shouted. "He's trying to seal it behind him." Kara didn't think. She flew through the conduit, chasing Saren, emerging onto the Citadel's exterior, where Sovereign loomed impossibly large. The Reaper vessel was already attached to the station, its tentacle-like appendages breaching the wards, preparing to open the gateway for the rest of its kind. Saren stood on the station's hull, his body wreathed in biotic energy. "You're too late. Sovereign is already..." Kara hit him like a meteor. They tumbled across the hull, trading blows that would shatter starship armor. Saren was strong, augmented beyond any organic limit, but Kara was Kryptonian. She grabbed his arm, the one that fired the weapon, and crushed it. Saren screamed, and the sound was both organic pain and synthetic death. He stared at his ruined limb, at the sparking circuits and leaking fluids, and something in his eyes cleared. "Thank you," he whispered. Then he fired his remaining weapon into his own head. The body fell, tumbling into space, and Kara felt a surge of grief for a warrior who'd fought his own mind and lost everything. But there was no time for mourning. Sovereign's attention turned to her. "Anomaly, you have interfered for the last time." The Reaper's weapon systems activated, and Kara realized with terrible clarity that she was facing a 2-kilometer vessel designed to harvest civilizations. Alone, in hard vacuum. With no backup, Diana's voice crackled over the emergency comm. "Kara, the conduit's closing. I'm coming." "No," Kara shouted. "Get Shepard to the council. Warn them. I'll handle this." "You cannot handle this. You are one organic. We are eternity." Sovereign's main weapon charged, energy readings that made every sensor on the Citadel scream warnings. Kara had seconds to decide, dodge and let the weapon hit the Citadel, killing millions, or... She flew directly into the beam. The energy was beyond anything she'd experienced, not heat, not kinetic force, but something fundamental. Reality-altering power that the Reapers used to unmake civilizations. It tore at her cells, tried to disintegrate her atomic structure, and Kara screamed as her Kryptonian biology fought physics itself. But she didn't disintegrate. She absorbed. Her cells, designed to convert energy, began processing the Reaper weapon's output. Not efficiently, not safely, but enough. The beam that should have destroyed the Citadel's main reactor was channeled through a Kryptonian body that was never meant to exist in this universe. Kara glowed, not with sunlight, but with stolen Reaper energy. And when the weapon finally powered down, she was still alive. Barely. Impossible. "Lots of impossible things happening lately," Kara gasped, her body burning with power she couldn't fully control. "Your cycle, consider it broken." She flew at Sovereign, hands outstretched, and released every joule of absorbed energy in one concentrated blast. The heat vision that emerged wasn't red, it was white. Fusion-level temperatures channeled through eyes that glowed like newborn stars. The beam struck Sovereign's hull where it connected to the Citadel, and for the first time in millions of years, a Reaper screamed. The connection severed. Sovereign's tentacles retracted. The massive vessel began to drift, its hull breached, its systems failing. This changes nothing. The cycle continues. "Not today, it doesn't," Kara said, and fired again. Sovereign died, the first Reaper to fall in millions of years, destroyed by a Kryptonian who had no business existing in this galaxy. Its remains drifted into space, a monument to the impossible. Kara floated there, exhausted beyond measure, her body screaming from radiation poisoning and energy overload. The Citadel's lights flickered, damaged but intact. Millions saved, one cycle delayed. "Kara," Diana's voice, urgent. "You need medical." "I'm okay," Kara lied. "The sun. Just need the sun." She oriented herself toward the system star and let its radiation begin the slow process of healing. It wasn't Earth's sun. It would take time. But she was alive. They'd won. The council chambers overflowed with representatives from every Citadel species. News of Sovereign's attack and its defeat had spread across the galaxy within hours. Shepard stood before the council, battered armor still scorched from combat, while Kara and Diana flanked her. The Kryptonian moved carefully, her body still recovering from channeling enough energy to kill a Reaper. Diana showed no injury, but her eyes carried the weight of a warrior who'd witnessed unnecessary death. Counselor Tivos spoke first, her melodic voice carrying across the assembled crowd. Commander Shepard, you disobeyed direct orders, violated council authority, and acted without sanction in the Terminus systems. Under normal circumstances, this would result in court-martial and imprisonment. Shepard stood straight, accepting whatever judgment came. She'd saved the galaxy. She'd accept the consequences. However, Tivos continued, you also saved the Citadel from a Reaper attack that would have killed millions and potentially opened the gateway for a full harvest. Your actions, while unauthorized, were necessary. The Council extends its gratitude. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Gratitude, but no apology for doubting. No acknowledgement that their political paralysis had nearly doomed them all. The Reapers are real, Councillor Valerne stated, his rapid-fire speech conveying urgency even career politicians couldn't deny. Sovereign's remains are being studied. Technology beyond current understanding. Indoctrination capabilities confirmed through Saren's autopsy. Threat assessment, existential. Response, inadequate. Conclusion, galactic preparation required immediately. Sparatus's mandibles flexed with what might have been humility, rare for a Turian. We were wrong. The Council failed to act on credible intelligence. This will not happen again. Commander Shepard, you are hereby granted full Spectre status. SuperGirl, Wonder Woman, the Council extends an offer of citizenship and positions within Citadel Special Forces. Kara exchanged glances with Diana. Citizenship, official sanction, integration into the power structures of a galaxy that still felt alien despite everything they'd done. Thank you, Counselor, Diana said diplomatically. But Kara and I must decline. We're grateful for the offer, but we don't belong to governments or councils. We serve justice itself, wherever it's needed. Today that meant fighting beside Commander Shepard. Tomorrow it might mean something else entirely. You would refuse Citadel authority? Sparatus asked, surprised. We would maintain our independence, Kara clarified. Look, we've been heroes for a long time. Back home, we work with governments, but we don't work for them. It's the only way we can be effective, free to act when bureaucracy would delay, free to say no when orders conflict with what's right. Shepard smiled slightly. These two understood something most soldiers never learned. True heroism required the freedom to choose. Orders could make soldiers. Only choice made heroes. Then what will you do? Tivos asked. Diana stepped forward. We'll remain in this galaxy until we find a way home. While we're here, we'll continue what we've always done. Protect those who need protection. Fight threats others cannot face, and prove that hope exists even in the darkest times. The Reapers are still out there, somewhere in dark space. When they return, we'll stand with you. But we stand as allies, not subordinates. Counselor Valerne calculated rapidly. Acceptable, preferable even. Independent agents, answerable only to moral imperative. Historical precedent. Vigilante heroes often accomplish what official channels cannot. Recommendation: grant them access to Citadel intelligence networks, provide material support when requested, and trust their judgment. A dangerous precedent, Sparatus muttered. So is extinction, Shepard countered. These two just killed a Reaper. If we're going to survive what's coming, we need to embrace dangerous precedents. The Council conferred briefly. Then Tavos spoke. Very well. SuperGirl, Wonder Woman. You are recognized as independent protectors operating within Citadel space. You'll have access to our intelligence networks and are authorized to act in defense of galactic security. But understand, if you abuse this trust, consequences will follow. Understood, both women said simultaneously. As the assembly dismissed, Shepard pulled them aside. You two just turned down positions that would have given you authority across the entire galaxy. Why? Because authority isn't what we need, Kara said. It's what we've been trying to tell you. We're not soldiers following orders. We're heroes following our conscience. The minute we start answering to politicians is the minute we stop being effective. Diana nodded. In my century-walking man's world, I learned that the best way to help isn't always through official channels. Sometimes justice requires operating in the spaces between laws, doing what's necessary when governments cannot or will not. Shepard laughed quietly. You sound like a specter, which you basically are now, just without the official title. She extended her hand. If you ever need backup, the Normandy's ready. And Shepard, well, I'm between assignments. Might be available for some independent hero work. They shook, warrior to warrior, 3 women who'd faced down a Reaper and survived. In the Presidium Gardens, Kara floated in the artificial sunlight, letting the energy restore her depleted reserves. The fight with Sovereign had pushed her beyond any limit she'd tested. For hours afterward, she'd been weaker than a baseline human. Now, slowly, her powers returned. Diana sat beside her. Both of them watching civilians return to their lives. Children played, merchants sold goods, lovers walked hand in hand, all of them alive because 2 women from another dimension had decided their lives mattered. Do you think we can find a way home? Kara asked quietly. Eventually, Diana replied. The Mother Box brought us here. Its energy signature still resonates in this dimension. With time and research, we might recreate the conditions that displaced us. But I'm not certain we should, not yet. Diana gestured to the crowds. This galaxy faces extinction. The Reapers will return with full force. When they do, these people will need champions who can fight on their level. You just proved a Kryptonian can kill a Reaper. Imagine what we could accomplish with preparation. Kara considered. Home called to her, the Earth she knew, the sun that fed her perfectly, the friends and family who must be wondering where she'd vanished to. But Diana had a point. This galaxy needed them, not as soldiers, not as weapons, but as symbols, proof that even impossible odds could be overcome. How long? Kara asked. Until the Reaper threat is neutralized, or until we find someone else who can stand against them. Diana smiled. We've always been warriors, Kara. Perhaps the universe sent us here because this is where the battle needs to be fought. No pressure, Kara muttered, but she was smiling. In his observation deck, the elusive man watched surveillance footage of Sovereign's destruction. He replayed the moment SuperGirl absorbed the Reaper weapon, analyzed the energy readings, calculated implications. She killed it, Miranda said, awe creeping into her usually controlled voice. 1 woman against a 2-kilometer Reaper vessel, and she won. She didn't just win. She adapted. The elusive man leaned forward. The Kryptonian biology processed Reaper energy. That means she could potentially absorb and redirect anything the Reapers throw at her. She's not just powerful, she's the perfect counter to their technology. And Wonder Woman's divine nature seems to resist indoctrination, Miranda added. Neither of them can be controlled through conventional means, which makes recruiting them even more critical. He stubbed out his cigarette. The Council just made a strategic mistake. They gave these 2 complete freedom while maintaining plausible deniability. That means when we approach them, and we will, we're not competing with official authority. We're offering partnership between equals. When do we make contact? Soon, but not yet. Let them establish themselves. Let them realize how vast this galaxy's problems truly are. Let them discover that even gods can't be everywhere at once. The elusive man's cybernetic eyes glowed. And when they're ready to accept help, when they understand that protecting the galaxy requires resources and intelligence they don't have, Cerberus will be waiting. And if they refuse, they won't, because I'm not going to offer them employment or authority or control. I'm going to offer them what heroes crave most, the ability to save more lives. He smiled coldly. Everyone has a price. For Diana and Kara, that price is measured in people they couldn't save. Show them how Cerberus can help them save more, and they'll come around. Miranda nodded, already compiling recruitment protocols. But something nagged at her, a sense that the elusive man was underestimating these women. They'd refused the council. They'd turned down official positions. What made him think they'd accept Cerberus? As if reading her thoughts, the elusive man said, "I'm not asking them to join us, Miranda. I'm asking them to let us help them. There's a difference, and that difference is everything." On the observation deck of a passing ship, two figures watched the citadel recede into the distance. One was wrapped in a crimson cloak, his features hidden. The other was smaller, childlike almost, but her eyes held ancient malice. "They killed Harbinger's vanguard," the child said, her voice carrying harmonics that suggested she wasn't remotely human. "Sovereign was always expendable," the cloaked figure replied. "A test, a measure of this cycle's capabilities, and now we have our answer. The anomalies are powerful. They are variables, uncertainty in a solved equation." The figure's eyes glowed red beneath the hood. "But every variable can be eliminated. The Reapers have harvested civilizations for millions of years. Two-dimensional refugees won't alter the outcome. Harbinger believes they represent a 3.7% deviation. Harbinger calculates. I plan." The figure turned away from the citadel. "Contact the collectors. Begin preparations. When the Reapers return, we'll be ready, and the anomalies will discover that even gods can be harvested." The ship jumped to FTL, vanishing into dark space where the true Reaper fleet waited. Hundreds of them. Thousands. An armada that had ended countless cycles, that had perfected the art of galactic extinction. Sovereign had been one ship, one test. The harvest was still coming. The citadel glittered against the void, a beacon of civilization and hope, rebuilt after near catastrophe. Somewhere in its wards, counselors debated new defense initiatives. Somewhere else, specters trained for threats they could barely imagine. And scattered across a million worlds, people who'd never heard of SuperGirl or Wonder Woman went about their lives, unknowing that two women from another dimension had just saved them all. Kara stood on the Presidium's observation deck, her cape billowing in recycled air, watching ships come and go. Each one represented lives, stories, futures that almost ended. Diana joined her, the two of them silent in their shared understanding of what they had accomplished and what still lay ahead. "We saved them," Kara said quietly. "Millions of people who'll never know how close they came to extinction." "That's what heroes do," Diana replied. "We stand between darkness and light, asking nothing in return except the knowledge that our stand mattered." "But it's not over. Harbinger's still out there. The Reapers are regrouping, and we're stuck in a galaxy we barely understand, trying to stop a threat that's been ending civilizations for millions of years." Diana smiled, ancient and knowing. "Then we learn, we adapt, we find allies and build the coalition this galaxy needs to survive. Shepard has proven herself a worthy warrior. The Council, for all its flaws, now acknowledges the threat, and we," she gestured to both of them, "we're proof that the impossible can be achieved." "Are we enough, though?" Kara's voice carried doubt she rarely admitted. "Back home, we had teams, the Justice League, the Avengers, the Teen Titans. Here it's just us against an army of machine gods. It's never just us. It's us and everyone we inspire to stand with us." Diana placed a hand on her shoulder. The cycle the Reapers speak of, it's predicated on organic civilizations destroying themselves before they can unite, harvest them before they learn to cooperate across species lines. But this galaxy is different. The Citadel exists. Multiple species work together, however imperfectly. We're not starting from nothing. Commander Shepard approached from behind, her armor replaced by Alliance dress blues. Talking about saving the galaxy again. You two really need a hobby. Saving galaxies is our hobby, Kara replied with a slight smile. We're not very good at relaxing. Join the club, Shepard handed them data pads. I'm officially a Spectre now, which means I get access to intelligence the Council usually keeps locked away. Reaper sightings throughout history, Prothean warnings, even a few Hanar religious texts that describe beings matching Reaper descriptions. It's not much, but it's a start. A start toward what? Diana asked. Building a defense. The Council's moving slowly, they always do, but there are factions willing to prepare. The Quarians remember being driven from their homeworld by synthetic life. The Turians understand military necessity. Even the Krogan, for all their problems, respect strength. Shepard's expression was determined. We've got maybe a few years before the Reapers return in force. That's time to build alliances, stockpile resources, and figure out how to kill things that are supposedly unkillable. You'll have our help, Kara promised, however long it takes. Diana nodded agreement. We came to this galaxy by accident, but perhaps fate guided us here. The Olympians always said that heroes are born when they're needed most. This galaxy needs us, and we will not abandon it. The three of them stood together, watching the endless dance of starships and habitats, the living proof that civilization endured despite impossible odds. Somewhere out in the dark, the Reapers calculated and planned. Somewhere closer, the elusive man prepared his next move. And scattered across the galaxy, other heroes, some famous, some unknown, readied themselves for the storm to come. SuperGirl and Wonder Woman had entered a universe not their own, crashed into its history at a critical moment, and proven that even the certainty of extinction could be challenged. They'd killed their first Reaper, saved millions of lives, and established themselves as forces that transcended dimension and destiny. The cycle that had claimed countless civilizations for millions of years had finally met variables it couldn't calculate. Two women who refused to accept that any battle was unwinnable. Two heroes who would stand against the dark no matter the cost. The harvest was coming. The Reapers were regrouping. Sovereign's destruction had bought time, nothing more. But time was what heroes used to turn impossible odds into unlikely victories. And in this galaxy, at this moment, the impossible had just become possible. The cycle wasn't broken. Not yet. But it had been challenged, delayed, given a crack through which hope could shine. Kara Zor-El and Diana of Themyscira would ensure that crack became a chasm, that delay became prevention, that hope became victory. They were strangers in a strange galaxy, warriors without a home, goddesses operating on principles this universe had never encountered. They were exactly what the Mass Effect galaxy needed. And the Reapers, for all their millions of years of certainty, were about to discover that some variables couldn't be eliminated. Some heroes couldn't be stopped. Some battles couldn't be won through calculation alone. The war for galactic survival had begun, and two champions from another dimension stood ready to prove that even ancient machine gods could bleed. May the Force be with you. More stories await.